Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book haul. The bookstore that I'm going to be talking about today is the Book Garden in Cream Ridge, New Jersey. I made a visit, and I had a great time, got a lot of books. I didn't know how many books I was going to get while I was there, but I always happen to find something. And I always enjoy paying a visit to George and Joyce, who operate such a great place. We've been there for a few field trips. We'd like to go back in 2023, but we're going to have to see about that. They are open Wednesday through Friday from 9 to 5, and Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 3. And while I was there, I got a lot of books from a lot of different areas. So let's start with the animal-related books that I got. First, I went through the section that had the animal stories. These are more so the experiences that animals have had with or within view of humanity. And a lot of the books were about dogs. And I do own quite an amount of books that feature dogs. But the first one that I got had to do with a falcon. And that is The Lure of the Falcon, the delightful story of a young man and the injured kestrel falcon that became his friend and companion, by Gerald Summers. And this has to do with Summers' story, Summers' very own story. And what intrigues me about this is a story of my own. I was walking the Ocean City Boardwalk back in June, and there was a gentleman behind me walking with a peregrine falcon, and he let it go and allowed it to perch while he stood there and waited for it to be done perching. That day, I had quite a nice, relaxing time walking the entirety of the Ocean City Boardwalk. I had just had a big breakfast at Lucille's, so I wasn't really in the mood to, surprisingly, I wasn't in the mood to eat while I was down there. And I was going to pick up a cheesecake later in the day from a cheesecake shop in Tuckahoe that I wanted to try. But that sprang an interest of mine into learning more about falcons and their personalities. And after reading the Penguin Lessons back in 2020, perhaps this would be an interesting read. On the topic of birds, I got Gifts of the Crow. And this was written by John Marsliff and Tony Angel. But this has to do with the human-like abilities of birds, such as crows, as well as ravens and jays. But I would like to learn some more about birds, and I think that this would be a good piece to do so. Here's a book about salmon. This is The Salmon, Their Fight for Survival by Anthony Netboy. And this has to do with the concerns pertaining to the salmon's survival and why we should be concerned, and the importance that they play in our very own lives. I got a book on word mysteries and histories, from quiche to humble pie. And this was put together by quite a few people. Barry Moser illustrated this. Robert Claiborne wrote the foreword, and Claiborne wrote Our Marvelous Native Tongue. I also found an illustrated biography on Lewis Carroll. This was written by Derek Hudson. And I'm inclined to learn more about Lewis Carroll. A lot of it on the basis that Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass were both brilliant pieces. And I would like to read up on Carroll's bibliography. He's written a few more books, but his Journeys into Wonderland through Alice were his primary works. The piece about the Jabberwocky is another noteworthy one. I think this is a major incorporation into my book collection, and that is The Dimensions of Robert Frost by Reginald L. Cook. This was written in 1958, so this was written while Robert Frost was still alive. It's going to be interesting to read up on this with the basis that it was written during Frost's lifetime. I wanted to read more on the background of Robert Frost and his poetry because I have argued about the dimension and how Robert Frost can be placed into a genre within himself. And perhaps reading this will allow me to strengthen my arguments. I picked up some books about art, one of which that caught my attention and that I had to acquire is 1,000 Paintings of Genius, because I think this is a great smorgasbord of me being able to introduce myself to some great artists and then in exchange be able to expand my knowledge on individual artists and painters and learn more about different paintings and their backgrounds. And the biggest book in size that I acquired is this book about Monet by Janice Anderson. And I think that even though the pieces of art are going to be the same, the approaches from the author are going to be different in the new information that they provide you, the reader. It's just like any other general biography, only with artists and painters you're going to see more visuals. I also got 2 cookbooks. Here is William Sonoma's Potato. I got a cookbook about squash recipes, and I thought that getting one on potato recipes would be a good idea. Because I like that idea of cookbooks that center around one particular ingredient. I keep arguing that Iron Chef or Food Network or the Cooking Channel, one of those, you should get the superstar chefs together and have them submit a recipe with one common theme, and that would be a theme ingredient. Like a book about potato recipes. Have each of your chefs submit what they feel is a standout potato recipe, or one that utilizes the potato as a highlight ingredient. But I think that this is going to be a very interesting approach, and I'm eager to see how William Sonoma interprets recipes such as the hash brown and the potato gratin, or different kinds of potato salad. And I got French Cuisine for All by Louisette Bertol. And she was a co-author with Julia Child and Simone Beck of Mastering the Art of French Cooking. This is her very own cookbook. I also acquired a few plays while I was there, probably more so than I have in quite some time. I got Dog Sees God, Confessions of a Teenage Blockhead by Bert V. Royal, which was released in 2006. Here is Any Wednesday by Muriel Resnick. This must be an older one. It was released as an unpublished play in 1963. I think that 1964 is when Dramatist Play Service published it. Speech and Debate by Stephen Karam. Published first in 2008 and revised in 2016. This is Amelie, which this was published by Samuel French. Came out in 2018. This is actually a musical comedy, so that'll be interesting to read. Here is The Time of Your Life, a comedy in 3 acts by William Sororin. And Samuel French has been around since 1830, so even though they may not publish some of them anymore, especially since now they're Concord Theatricals, I might be able to pick up something that has come out really, really early back in the day. Antique. But this was copyrighted by William Sororin in 1939, and the Samuel French acting edition came out in 1941. Here is The Clean House by Sarah Ruhl. This is copyrighted in 2007. And I got from Bertolt Brecht, The Caucasian Chalk Circle. Sometimes I have to watch because when it comes to these collections of plays, there are people that will sell or donate annotated versions, and I would rather not own an annotated version of a particular work. If people want to annotate in their books, that is completely their prerogative, but I would rather read a clean-cut version, and I would rather write my notes down in a notebook. Here is a collection of Plotus'S plays. The Pot of Gold and Other Plays also includes The Prisoners, The Brothers, Menachemus, The Swaggering Soldier, and Pseudolus. And here is 8 Plays by Henrik Ibsen. I got the Barnes & Noble collection of 6 of his plays, but this is an incorporation of those 6 plays plus An Enemy of the People and Rosmersholm. So I think that this is a great addition, and I now have multiple collections of Ibsen's plays. I got 2 of the O. Henry Prize stories. Here are the best short stories of 2017 and 2018. It's interesting to see what gets named and recognized. I got an addition to my James Michener collection. This is the Presidential Lottery, which has to do with, this is a non-fictional account, and it's Michener providing information about the Electoral College. Because his experience is the fact that he served as a presidential elector in Pennsylvania back in 1968. So to get his perspective on the way that elections work is going to be, and to get his perspective and his experiences of seeing how the elections work is going to be a fascinating read. Here's some literary fiction. This is The Yellow Birds by Kevin Powers. And Alif Shavak. This is Honor. I think most people know Paulo Coelho for his Alchemist. And I believe I have my copy of The Alchemist somewhere. But I got many of his other books that were in fantastic condition at just $3.50 each. And so I've beefed up my collection of Paulo Coelho. This is by the river Pedra I sat down and wept. The winter stands alone. Brida. Warrior of the Light. The Fifth Mountain. The Zahir. The Valkyries. And 11 Minutes. These are all in magnificent condition, and I was really fortunate to find them and boost my collection. Paulo Coelho's works. And the last book that I got while I was at the book garden is The Pencil. A History of Design and Circumstance by Henry Plotus'S. And I have a thing for microhistories. I like learning about random topics. It's just fascinating to learn about the world around me. And to have a book that's all about pencils is quite intriguing and quite an addition to my book collection. Those are the books that I acquired while I was at the book garden. As always, I had a terrific visit, and I highly encourage you to check them out if you are in the Cream Ridge area. Even if you're visiting Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, the book garden is not too far. I always enjoy my visits there, and they have new books coming in all the time. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to find something that you enjoy. I want to thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. And if you really like what you see, I highly encourage you to support us on Patreon, for the money that we make will allow us to provide you, the viewer, with even more great content. For now, and as always, I encourage you to keep reading.